bold prediction. Your PSA 10 slabs will be worth a lot less 10 years from now. Let me explain why. Boy, do I have a lot to share with you. Guys, thank you for stopping by. This is Ziggy with Sports Cards Daily. This is our weekend edition. This is the state of grading. This is detailed. This is good. I got a lot to talk about. I'm going to start with looking at a video from yesterday. A channel talked about grading and their comments and thoughts on all the new graders in the hobby. And we'll start there. I'll give you my comments, and then I'm going to back up my comments in kind of a debate style on why I think people are misunderstanding what's going on. I'm going to give you a history of grading. I'm going to talk about some important flashpoints where certain things came together that made certain things happen. And I'm going to give you kind of where I see the future of grading. Okay. And this is going to be interesting because I think, again, like I said earlier, the PSA 10s that you've graded today or prior are going to have less value in the future. And that's because of grading. Another thought here, with the recent increases in pricing, right? When SGC went from 25 to 75, did the SGC graders get raises? I'm always wondering, like, do you think, like, are the guys who are grading, are they making mad money? Like, if you told me, hey man, I'll give you $25 for a card you grade, I'd probably do a lot more grading that day, right? Wouldn't you? I'd probably be grading on my weekends. So those are things I kind of think about. Let's go ahead and jump in to this video here. This is from yesterday, and this is on Hobby Hotline. This is in response to the recent rise in grading, and I want you to listen to this with me. I'm going to interrupt, make some comments, and I'm going to back up my comments and my argument in this this video and discussion. Let's go ahead though and jump into this.
Lots of stuff about the shows, but we've had one comment about who's buying top stock. Another comment here from Jason about let's talk about all the new grading companies coming in. Anybody want any topics you want to touch on, Drew?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk some fly-by-night grading, Jason. I knew you want to talk about it. I mean, I'm assuming I don't even know the name. Oh yes, I do. I remember it now because they ripped off Kobe's nickname. Black Mamba grading. One of the new. Yes, I see you guys saying. Yes,
Mamba.
Black Mamba grading. Dead serious. It is a real. I mean, there are all these new companies coming out. Black Mamba grading, and then there's even some there just doing raw card reviews and literally just assessing a card, sealing it, charging a premium. Like, I mean, I do card assessing, but it's like built into a grading card, so it's not like a big service or anything like that or guaranteeing. But you've got so many of these either encapsulation services or raw card reviews. I've seen multiple of those come up now. And I don't know, I think it's a joke, but I mean, a lot of people that are new in the hobby are getting these ads because I clicked on one in my Facebook feed now is filled with sponsored ads talking about all of these different companies. That's the only reason I know about it is because I clicked on Black Mamba because I thought it was a joke, and it wasn't. It was a real company. And there's literally about 20 or 30 now. Well, there's a lot of new people that I see people taking screenshots saying, hey, are these people legit? Well, thank God they asked the question, but how many people don't ask the question? And I mean, some of these companies actually have some very reputable people in the hobby backing them, and I don't understand it. I really don't understand it because it's blatantly obvious to me what it is.
Well, let me give you my short, maybe not so short, but my thoughts on this, guys.
Hold on, let me just stop right here. Drew makes some interesting comments. I bet you if a grading company had come to Drew and said, hey, Drew, we want you to be part of this, he'd have a totally different opinion of this. He actually does say that he has his own screening company, right? That previous cards before they submit them for grading. He's called a wizard. So this is the thing I'll point out. There are a lot of wizards like this that do this. Everybody has a wizard. I know the guy I send them my cards to. He'll wizard them for a few bucks and tell me, hey, these are worth grading or not. Those are wizards. So one thing I want to point out that I've been arguing for a long time, when we look at the hobby, the guys at PSA and SGC and BGS do not have certifications. They don't have a degree from a university in card grading. They didn't go to the ITT technical school for grading. And I'll share with you in a moment an example of what it takes to be a grader. It just takes experience. A wizard who spends a lot of time looking at cards can go get hired by a grading company and become a grader. And we knight him. You are now a wizard of the wizards. That's all it is. I sense some bitterness there. The Black Mamba thing, I think they have more problems with the name and infringing on trademark than the company. I think that's, hey, cheers, Black Mamba. His comment about just encapsulating cards and putting their raw card review, again, my thought there is, and I'll get into this in the history of grading. What is grading? Grading is basically a third party's opinion. It's somebody else's opinion. And if that opinion didn't come from a university or a certification, it's just, again, somebody with experience giving you their opinion. So what's wrong with that, Drew? If you put a red review on a card and encapsulated it, so what? Right? I think the issue here is it's what happens to the buyer? What happens to the person who buys it? Well, let me answer that. If I'm buying cards, first of all, I can look at it and go, well, it's not a PSA. It's Drew's review. Well, Drew gave it a 9. Card looks okay to me. Maybe I've seen other ones in person. I can buy it. If I don't like Drew's review, I can crack it out, or I can try to sell Drew's review. And if people don't want to buy this thing, what's the big deal? It's not like you're hiding it. It's not like it'd be wrong if you're making a counterfeit. I'll tell you, it'd be wrong if you took a reprint and you graded it PSA 10, right? That would be wrong. But what's wrong with self-encapsulating? Kids, for example, how many people open a box for their kids and their kids want to play with the cards? Wouldn't it be great if you had 7 or 8 little self-encapsulating containers you could throw the cards in? Hey, go ahead and play with the Prism LaMelo ball you just pulled, young man. Play with it, but it's encapsulated and protected. Because again, when I make that transaction, when I'm going to sell the card, I want somebody to give me a review of it, and I want to be protected. That's the number one reason why I use the Star Stock and ComC, is that someone else gives a review, they give a grade of it or give notes of what the condition is, and then they help me sell it. Right? I don't have to do, it's protected. It's not, they don't encapsulate it for me, but the transaction of the transfer, I'm not using the mail system anymore. They're dealing with it. This next part I think is very interesting, because this is Jeremy, and I want to say both Drew and Jeremy are well-known people in the hobby, and I'm just having some healthy debate here. Although I was not allowed to be on the channel to debate with them, I did want to have this debate, because it just you'll see.
It doesn't matter to me who's backing you. I don't care how high profile the backer you are. The only thing that matters to me within any grading company, including the incumbents, is who are the graders and what qualifications do they have that enable them to very importantly authenticate the card. First of all, the card needs to be authenticated and the grade needs to be assessed. So if I'm a new company and if I know about a new grading company, or if I'm going to consider a new grading company, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to flaunt a fancy slab or a fancy colorful label. I'm not going to talk about AI that I may or may not be using, and I'm going to talk about who the people are that are grading the cards, who are the graders, and what is their resume that enables them to be able to authenticate the card and assess the grade. What is their experience? What have they done in the hobby? That's what I'm going to flaunt if I'm not starting a grading company. But if I was, I would be flexing what the experiences of the graders are, and how can you, my potential customer, trust that they can authenticate and grade my card accurately and consistently. Doesn't matter who's back in the business. That's irrelevant to me. I mean, it's important for longevity and that you can sustain and have some working capital. That's definitely important. But all I care about as a customer is who's grading these cards and what.
This is really interesting. I do encourage you guys to listen to this conversation. There's a couple other points he makes that I'll reference later on in the video. His comment here, my first thought to him is, Jeremy, then show me the qualifications of PSA, BGS, and SGC. I want to see the graders' resumes. I want to see their experience. I want to see what makes their wizard magic so special. If I'm new, if I came into grading and that is your entry level, if I'm going to start a grading company, I want to see your experience. I want to see your resumes. Well, I want to see their resumes. I think that's part of the problem too, guys, is we don't see their resumes. We have no freaking idea who these guys are. We're told stories about who they are. Oh, they were really hardworking. They don't make a lot of money. And if you can grade, you can make more money just sending in cards. See, that's it. Let me just point that out. If I'm a grader and I worked at PSA and I'm sitting there grading other people's cards, and I know that when I pick a 10 slab, it's worth more money than when I pick a 9 slab. And I decided I'm gonna quit that job and go home and send my own cards into them because I can make more money picking the ones I know that Frank, my old friend, is going to see are 10s versus 9s. Doesn't that concern you? Right? This has been my whole concern with the whole grading world since I got here, right? Is it's just a bunch of damn wizards. Now, these guys are going to talk about Gemma Mint later on. Now, let me go ahead and jump out of this. I want to go ahead and go a little bit more into the brief history of this and why I'm a little frustrated by this. I first of all thought that both of those guys were a little bit more supportive of these grading companies because they're both entrepreneurs. They both profit from the hobby. They both have hobby businesses. So all I see grading companies that are doing this is more hobby businesses, more people grading, making money in the hobby and doing it in a legitimate way. They're taking an advantage of an opportunity in the market. There is a demand for graded cards that is not being met, but we didn't see that support. So I started again wondering why. Why is there this bias? Well, let me go ahead and start with the history of grading. Back when I left cards, everything was raw, right? I was back in the 90s when I left cards, 80s and 90s. In the late 90s, grading came to be. Now, one of the reasons, first of all, grading came to be because a bunch of wizards, guys who had been basically going to shows, saying, yeah, this looks like a gem mint. This looks like a mint card. Man, that's in great condition. Do you see the condition of the Mickey Mantle he had? Yeah, it was an excellent condition. They basically got together and said, we're going to create a company called BGS and PSA and SGC were created. And I'm going to reference PSA. Now, I'm going to be talking later on about baseball card collector, investor, dealer. I'll show you his page, and I got a lot of this history from him. But they got together and they created a grading scale, 1 through 10, with 0.5s in the middle. PSA has 0.5s, and they defined how they're going to grade cards. And at this time, primarily grading was for vintage cards, okay? Because that's the ones that really needed to know the condition. In modern cards at the time, if you got an 86 or not, let's say you opened up a 97 Topps Mint card of a player, you probably figured it was in great condition. Yours in great condition, it's changed. Oh, one's got a ding corner, yours got a ding corner, let's trade 2 ding corners. But people didn't grade modern. There just wasn't the demand. Another reason people did not grade modern, this is very important, is because there really wasn't the value in the cards as it was. People were adjusting from the junk box era, so they wanted autographs and they wanted relics. Okay. Now I say that because PSA, SGC, and Rise Beckett were in the business of authenticating autographs. Authenticating autographs is very key to the history of grading. All of them have a history there because that was the initial driver. There was actually initial penalties, right? It's called counterfeiting. You can go to jail for it. And there were some stories of people got caught counterfeiting merchandise. So a lot of fraud, a lot of money went in the 80s and 90s to authenticating and fraudulent authenticated autographs, right? And memorabilia, whether this item really came from a game or what it was. So that created a whole era of the authentication business. Cards started to take a rise of grading, like I said, mainly in the vintage and SGC and PSA. It isn't until the 2000s when the rise of the modern sports card, when you start having some of the real big, real big, probably when Exquisite came out, and they're the ones with the first RPAs, where you started maybe having grading kind of slip into this. And if you look at, and that's why most of those big cards from that era are BGSs, is because then when they went out to grade them, I don't think PSA either could, would, or did a very good job of grading these new, ornate cards, right? The slabs weren't thick enough, whatever it was. So BGS became the grader of the modern card. BGS did a couple things. They also had bigger, thicker slabs. They did subgrades as a huge differentiator, and they put plastic around the card to protect it from dust and water, and really just their premium. I mean, even today, a BGS slab, if it's not fake, is a superior slab to any slab in the market. Okay, it's even today. But when they did that, that was a key differentiator too. Those subgrades became a differentiator. I have a 9.5 with 3 8s or 3 9.5s and 1 10. So the 10 made it better. It's just, that was, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but that was huge. You got to think about that. So BGS took over that place. They also had they had the card grade and they had an auto grade, right? PSA has that, but it wasn't big for them. They were still doing vintage. And at that time, if you were in cards, you send your modern to BGS, you send your vintage to PSA. That was the case. Okay. There was no question about that. Probably was, I'm trying to think, maybe 17 or 18, 2017 or 18, when there starts to become a little differentiation with PSA and BGS. And I'm going to give credit to that to probably Ben Simmons here in a moment. I do want to point out, though, in that this prehistory time, all of the vendors had concerns and issues with fake or actually authenticating stuff that wasn't authentic. So when Jeremy's comment, I want to make sure it's authentic. Well, let me just tell you, no one's been perfect. A PSA authenticated that the first Honus Wagner was authentic when it was trimmed. They missed that one. There's slabs of Michael Jordan rookie cards and star cards from PSA that are fakes. They know that, right? So don't tell me no one's perfect in authenticating, right? Again, it's just a bunch of wizards are trying to authenticate it for you. What happened though in 2016, it was Ben Simmons came out. He did not do an autograph for Panini. I'll make this a short story. So without an autograph in the Panini product line, who dominated, they had all basketball products. If you wanted to get a basketball Ben Simmons rookie card, you could not get an autograph card from him, right? Upper Deck did a line that was in Goodwin Champions, but that was the only autograph available. So because of that, his cards of refractors gained more value. And for example, the Silver Prism gained value. And I remember it being graded, and if it graded Gem Mint, it was the first card to break $1,000 as a common modern card, right? That we know has been, I won't say mass produced, but modernly produced. Okay. So there's a large print run on it. There's no autograph on it. And there's no relic on it. It was the first non-relic, non-auto card, I believe, to break $1,000 in a graded Gem Mint. And that was a game changer, right? Because it changed the dynamics of PSA. It changed the dynamics of Prism. It changed a lot of dynamics. You also have at this point, people then start looking at grading these silver cards, right? Because they start finding there's big value in them. I remember buying in 2018 a card that I bought that it was raw for like $90, but because it was a PSA or BGS 9.5, it sold in a group for $300. And I didn't understand why. And I got a whole education. Well, if it becomes a Gem Mint, it's 3X. If it's a Mint, it's 2X, whatever the raw card. And again, I thought to myself, this is crazy, but that's actually the way things were going at the time. So you had a rise in this acceptance for differentiation in the market really was in grading with subs, and the importance of having valuable cards like autographs. So around this time, we have this rise in two things, Luka and Giannis cards. Giannis, his print run was very short, right? And there weren't a lot of his autographs. He didn't do a lot of signing because he was a low rookie and his autograph was also terrible. So as he started gaining value and starts hitting these MVPs, his card goes up in value. Now I remember his card, I think in 2018 went from maybe a couple $100 to $2,000 to maybe $3,000 PSA 10 or BGS 9.5 at the time. And that pushed a lot of other cards. Later on, Luca's cards, his cards start skyrocketing too. And even his base cards, which I want to say 3 years ago were, and maybe not even 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, we're going for $70 in a PSA 10 slab. $70 in a PSA 10 slab for a base Prism Luca skyrocketed. And a lot of that was you had this flood in of new people, these new collectors / investors. And the biggest challenge I have said from day one on my channel, guys, is education is so important in this hobby. It really is. And what I'm talking about is it's a hard thing to explain. As a father trying to tell a young man, son, experience is important. They look at you and gleam in their eye. No, it's not. I know everything. So I'm going to tell you this, and you're not going to believe me, but I knew last year when people were buying all the stuff they've been buying that this isn't going to end well, because you're not focusing on what's important, which were the autographs, true short prints, and relics. Okay. So we have all these uneducated people coming in, and the time, hey, you can't get a Luca, so buy a Luca base Prism. And if you're going to buy a base, buy Prism, it's the best. And it shut up to almost $2,500. It's around $1,000. I've actually started to telling my sons, I think we should sell the card. I think it's ridiculous that we're holding a card that's a very, very common card. That $1,000 could just, the value of $1,000 could do so many other things in your life, right? You can do so many different things that investment can return. Cryptocurrency could be one, right? NFTs could be another. $1,000 in NFTs could be a lot more than a Luca will probably be in some time. You might hold $1,000, but anyway, uneducated people coming into the market, and all they want to do is be able to sell and sell fast and get a return. Now, at the same time, BGS couldn't keep up, PSA couldn't keep up, and there was a pretty big marketing campaign. And I'll just look at it this way. I remember Kendrick Perkins doing a video where he's like, if it ain't PSA, it ain't coming my way. And I understand, but it echoed, its impact was great because people just figured it's a PSA 10. There was a race for PSA 10s, and that's what shot the market up. The market shot up on this demand for this belief that PSA 10s are special and pop counts are special, and this is good game changer. And you can take a base card, and you can take a base card and triple it in days. Oh yeah, the Candyman can't. I don't know, it just came to me. But anyway, my point is, all that hype, right, has put us where we are today, which is coming to 2020. Let me just check my notes here. Uneducated investors, right? Okay, one point I want to make before I get to 2020. This is important, guys, and you're paying attention. This is big. ZiggyNo right here, last year in 2019, when I launched my channel, I was saying then, technology will and should replace grading. Okay, I didn't see value in why one wizard was better than the other. Since I looked at this and saw there's no wizard school, there's no wizard certifications, they're just damn wizards. Okay, and we all get frustrated with them. One wizard gives you a 9, the other one gets a 10. You look at a 10 that's crooked and go, damn it, this wizard was blind that day. This wizard was drunken. They're humans. They're going to have opinions. There's potential quotas. There's so many things in that business that concern me. Like I said earlier, do you think they're making money based on how many cards they grade or the quality of the grades they give, right? Because that's incentivized how you work. Do you get paid on doing an 8-hour day no matter how many cards you grade? It's based on the quality. Or you get paid because if you do so many, you get paid more money. That's going to change the quality of your freaking work. So wizards are infallible. And that is why I said in the beginning of this video, your wizard cards that are graded are going to be worth less in the future. Now pay attention. I said AI last year. No one listened to me. In fact, I was on Jeremy's Sports Card Live show when he had a guest on. I was saying, dude, technology can do this. Technology can do this. And him and every expert he had on, nope. He brought a guy on who did a study at some university saying, nope, technology cannot grade a card. Technology cannot grade a card. Now, at that time, Gem Mint was out last year, by the way. They didn't just pop up in the last 3 months, guys. They've been around for a few years. I didn't know about them, but I knew about other fingerprinting technology companies and what they can do, right? So I'm saying it can be done. Technology will change the space. Technology will change the space. No, 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 no. Everybody said no. Now, that's why it's important in 2020. Boom, HGA drops. When HGA drops, I love them simply for the fact they said they used AI. I think I did some videos on this, and I'll be honest. The fact they said they used AI, I don't care. Even the AI is just a centering. They're using AI. They're taking some power away from the damn wizards that we put so much value on. Now, I also thought to myself they wouldn't succeed. I was like, well, let's see how this goes. You know, like I sat there holding my breath. Well, it was accepted. It was accepted. Now they complimented. They say they use some wizards to kind of check the grading. Apparently, their wizards are not spell checkers. Come on, HGA. That kind of bothers me. Think about that. You should have your AI do your spell check. You spell check, but you have AI, but never mind. I'm sorry. I like HGA, so I'm not going to hit on them. They did a couple of things. They put quotas, right, on how many cards they would grade. The other thing they did is that I think they used as differentiation, whether it was the AI, really was a customized slab, right? Which I go to the model of a customized skin. You can skin your slabs, right? Like we skin our Fortnite characters, or you skin your virtual world, you can skin your slabs. So dropping that, I think, was a big change in the market. It also, two things. As I said earlier, people just want a trusted card that's been graded by somebody else, gives an opinion, that's encapsulated, so they can make a transaction. You could take an HGA slab and sell it, and HGA slabs are beating SGA slabs, I think, or SGC slabs, right? Part of that is because of scarcity and people want the color match, and people just want it, whatever it is. But right now, the market's pretty much, you have all these different slab companies fighting, and you still make profit off of grading. You take a raw card and you grade it, you get a good grade, and one of these companies like HGA, SGC, CSG, whatever it might be, you're going to make more money. PSA still holds this pristine magic, right? This woo, which I think is, again, overrated. Now, on to this Gemma Mint. Now, I don't have this queued up. I'm going to go back to the video here in a second, but after Jeremy and the guys absolutely slaughter what they call the fly-by-night graders, they then just absolutely praise PSA on their whole Gemma Mint purchase and how great this is, and how this is going to be a game changer, and how now the PSA can increase the ability to grade because they can use that and they can have a person grade it. And I thought to myself, what if HGA had bought Gemma Mint? What if HGA is using a technology better than Gemma Mint? And they got a person on it. Why are you so willing to buy into PSA's BS? Because they tell you, like, my favorite part of this is they're going to be able to fingerprint and tell you if you've graded it before. I don't give a crap if you can tell if I've graded before. What, are you going to send it back to me and give me my refund? Because if you don't give me a refund, I at least want it slab. If you're telling me it was graded before, I need proof of that. You need to share the algorithm fingerprint. That is complete bullshit, in my opinion. Who even cares? The bigger story, in fact, again, wake up, people, right? When they're waving over here, they're sticking this hand over there. The reason they brought up Gemma Mint and their PSA signature, they told you this is going to give the ability to decrease the people who are submitting, because they want you to continue to submit, thinking that less people are going to be submitting. So I want to warn you, don't send in your old ones because we're going to stop you. Wink, wink. We don't give a crap. Send them in. We're going to grade them. At the meantime, the bigger story, guys, is that AI has just been endorsed by PSA. The Terminator is in the building, baby. Okay? AI is what HGA uses. AI is what anybody can use. As you get into the AI race, it's now a battle on technology. No longer wizards. And where this will come to a point is that at some point in the future, guys, there will be a grading standard and there'll be a technology. There'll be a fingerprinting hashing algorithm, an IT standard that comes out on here's what the requirements are for technologically grading a card or grading something. It will happen, okay? And when we look back 10 years from now to the cards that are slabbed today and go, those were all slabbed pre-technology, pre-wizards, they're not going to hold the same value. They will not. In fact, as you start encapsulating them, you're going to find a lot of these PSA 10s and go, yeah, this should have been an 8.5. Oh, wow, this one should have been a 9. And you're going to find other ones that are going to be GMA 9s that should have been equivalent to a PSA 10s because we're using wizards, right? And that is why I said the beginning of the end is here for PSA. Now, they could adapt. They could move over quickly to all AI, right? In fact, if they're smart, they'll do that super fast. But my point is, again, the AIs can come anywhere. Microsoft can introduce a product now. Amazon can introduce a product right now, right? For example, in the future, there really could be an app that you put on your phone that you grade the card, you lock in some fingerprint on it, right? And then in the mail, Amazon drops off on a drone 3 slabs and you self-encapsulate. Tell me why that wouldn't work. Because again, what will be important is the AI, the signature on the hash of the review the technology did, which I can put onto an NFT. I talked about this earlier, put it to a blockchain. So when you get the slab, you can unencapsulate it, run the same algorithm on the card. Yep, checks up. Hash is the same. Card hasn't been damaged. You've got a XYZ. You see where I'm going with this? My goodness. So let me tell you, here's what you need to do today. Slab your cards. In my opinion, it doesn't mean a damn bit of difference which ones you use. It makes a difference on what your short-term plans are. If you are still buying cards and trying to get the premium value, if you get if you pull a Prism number to 10 LaMelo ball, I would flash grade that shit to PSA tomorrow and sell it as fast as I could on golden auction, right? I'm gonna get the most money for it. But if I have, let's say, a bunch of silver Zions, and I believe that I'm gonna hold those for 10 years, just get them graded. Get a grade on them, stick them away somewhere, or even better, send them to BGS, wait 3 years to get the card back to you. But when you do get it back, it's gonna have subgrades on it, and it's gonna be encapsulated in the best slab out there as far as protection for water and wind and dust and all that stuff. So spend 3 years to get them to grade it. I mean, you got to look at grading that way. At the same time, maybe you just like you want to grade a bunch of cards in your collection, you want to create a set, bunch of skins. Hey, there HGA is great. And I'm going to drop some names, right? Pure Graded X. I'm friends with the founders who are starting Pure Graded X. I love what they're doing. They're going to be doing a bunch of customized cards. They're looking at NFTs. I had a whole conversation about them. They're going to give you self-encapsulation capabilities. I think they're great. They're going to give you the ability to protect your card. TGA, what's their whole motto? Protection, right? It's all about protection. So again, they're protecting their card. They're going to give you wizard grades. Now, again, my friends at TGA, listen to what I'm saying here. Add some AI to it. Look at where the future is going. Don't just be a wizard, man. Be more than a wizard. If SGC or CSG or any of you guys are listening to me, you know I'm right. And if you're a grader that's working there, I hope they're paying you well, guys. So in closing, in summary, I fully endorse all grading companies. I love competition. Competition has caused these changes in the market. They have forced, what we have seen is that HGA and all these other little guys have forced the almighty PSA to let the Terminator in the building. That's it, guys. Oh, real quickly, I do want to share, I'm sorry, I do want to share a few really great resources with you. I did go over this one, and I do recommend you guys go back and listen to this video more in detail. What's another one I wanted to share with you? Sports Card Investigator, big fan of Sports Card Investigator. I listened to his videos. He did some videos recently on Gemimint and one on PSA grading that I found really beneficial and really enjoyed. Please check him out. Great channel. Other one, oh, where was it? Damn it. Here it is. Baseball Card Collector, Investor, Dealer. I will drop this in link below. Great links here to some history of grading. Talks about different grading scales, comparing grading. And again, it's very unbiased. And this is before we introduced AI. This is about, so many months ago, probably about 8 months ago. So check this out. Here's a quick snapshot here. If you go to grading and IG, you will see there's a whole bunch of different grading options out there right now. I don't know which one I hit on, but you'll see that coming up. And then right here, last thing I want to show you was, check out this. What does it take to be a Becca grader? Read this article. My point is, again, he's just a wizard, man. He didn't go to certification school. In fact, I don't think you need to go to high school to be a grader. I think there's no real minimum qualifications. The only qualification to join the Wizards is to have experience in the Wizards, right? I guess there's a chant, maybe a hooded ceremony. I don't know. But I hope that hope this was helpful to you guys. I really, 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 really am excited about 2021. Like I said last year, going to be a lot of shakeups. And I really like my backdrop. Have a great day, guys.